Thank you, Mike. Let's get the slides going. So we've called Industry 4 and given it an actual label inside our organisation to bring it to life. So we call it Asahi. So I'll refer to that over the next 10 minutes. So really what we've done with Industry 4 is we've actually given it a mantra inside our organisation as well. And it's all about the people. So over the next 10 minutes, I'm really going to focus in on what we've done in Industry 4.0 around the people. Strategically integrating people capability with emerging technologies to build a smarter value chain. And that statement was purposely put together to have the people part of Industry 4 up front. So it is about enabling people capability. The technology wrapped around that, and then ultimately to interact with a smarter, digitised value chain. And that was important to us, and we hold that true to that mantra. A little bit about Asahi in terms of size and scope, because we are dealing with a large, complex organisation that operates within the Australia-New Zealand network, if you like, but also internationally as well. You may be aware of some of our brands, but we have over 600 SKUs and possibly more now in our portfolio. So our workforce, right through the lower levels of our organisation, right up to the top, are dealing with large complexity and the additional pressures of holding inventory and not holding inventory profitability that comes with meeting customer expectations against that large portfolio in both the grocery and non-grocery markets. In terms of our geographical location, we are spread right across Australia. So we have the challenge of transport and geography as well. So we operate across Australia and New Zealand, as mentioned before, heavily concentrated along the east coast of Australia, but also have distribution and manufacturing networks in Western Australia and distribution in the Northern Territory. So 12 manufacturing locations, 3 standalone distribution centres, third-party logistics, and we operate across that platform. In terms of our size and scale, again, to give you some context of the environment that we're operating across, this is our parent company statistics here. So Asahi is Japanese-owned organisation, and you can see in order of 17 or 20 billion yen. So we're a very large multinational company, although we do operate in our own entity inside Australia and run our own strategic programs inside Australia. So how does Industry 4 all fit together? So I think Anthony gave a very good overview of Industry 4, and we approach it, I suppose, in much the same way. But it's just dovetailed down into what it means for the future of work and how our workforce operates inside of that. What we are facing is a new era of learning. It's about doing less potentially because of the increased automation and digitisation, and it's about more thinking, problem solving, creative thinking, being highly responsive to real-time data. There's a real shift in the way we need to work and to operate within our organisation, and importantly, interface beyond the 4 walls of our organisation with the wider ecosystem. We are entering a new era of co-worker. I think Anthony mentioned the generation of cobots amongst other robots that would be working alongside and complementary to the workforce and the changing nature of work. So how does that all start to fit together? And potentially it's a new era of motivation as well. So it's not all about money. How do we have a workplace that is enriched and be able to stimulate and grow our workforce with the changing needs of work in our society as it's moving forward? We also, like Anthony's organisation, had developed a roadmap to start with as a core pillar. Proof of concepts and pilots were very important in the development of key ideas and concepts prior to commercialisation. Industry partnerships, as you will see, and as Michael mentioned, are very key to what we do. You cannot do this alone and you cannot do it in isolation. You're part of a broader industry community. And then what we're talking about here is the skills and knowledge base. You know, how do you upskill entering workforce, existing workforce? How does that all start to come together? Core to the manufacturing environment and the supply chain is this concept of the connected technician. It's probably not unlike what we're doing socially as well. We are all connected to the internet and the Internet of Things by our own mobile devices, and some of us, like me, I've at least got 2, as well as 2 laptops. I think I've got at least 5 devices that I'm connected to society with at any given time. It's no different within our organisation that we are being connected beyond the 4 walls of our facilities and our organisations, and we're being connected to the wider ecosystems and the wider value chain digitally. Alex explained earlier today, the best example of a value chain is 75% connected digitisation. We are all working towards higher and higher levels of digitisation. This is one way, one practical way in the workforce. So the concept of connected technician, which we have begun to realise at Asahi, is to allow our, not operator as such, but a technician in the truest sense of the word, to know more earlier and to be able to act proactively to real-time data. So it's not about looking back, it's being in the driver's seat and taking all the inputs of what's coming in from field devices to be able to make decisions at the appropriate point in a technical process. So it's not only about machine data, it's about materials transport, line run-out, scheduling. So the connected technician in concept and in practicality manages an end-to-end process. It's not one person, one job anymore. It's about managing everything from incoming materials to dispatch of finished goods. So in this particular example, I can share with you the next best production line that we had a couple of years ago. Managed that process with 5. We had the vision and aspiration to get down to 1. We're currently at 3. So we have 3 highly capable technicians that run autonomously, that can run an end-to-end manufacturing process. They use audio, they use visual, and they use haptic alerts to be able to get information from the equipment and from their field and be able to respond to what is happening in the production or manufacturing environment. High levels of automation and increasing levels of digitisation are allowing that to occur. But just reflect on that for a moment. That is a very different type of worker in the factory floor or in the manufacturing environment. They are very attuned to what is happening, and key to this is by what is happening by exception. You cannot respond to every data input that's coming from the field, but to have the ability to discern with the machine intelligence to be able to make decisions at the appropriate point when the data is coming in. So routine actions start to occur automatically with increased digitisation, and the exceptions are managed by the technician. Technicians are supported by remote experts as well, who can help with trending analysis and historical data and start to develop predictability within your systems as well. So pattern recognition, prediction, correlation analysis, regression, they all start to become a reality as the operator morphs into a technician with a higher level of skill. In the particular example that I was referring to, we employed for that role. So part of our challenge is to be able to transition existing workforce, and that is also in play. But we proved a concept around hiring for learning agility. So we didn't necessarily choose from that team of 3, and there's 4 crews of that. People that have worked in the manufacturing or food industry before, we actually employed for learning agility. Some of them were Telstra field sales technicians, people who had the fundamental mechanical and technical skills, and also displayed our corporate culture to be able to come into a learning environment and were trained by SMEs in the equipment and be able to work autonomously. So that was a proof of concept idea in itself. Can you bring people who haven't worked in the industry for 20 years, with the learning agility to be able to apply themselves. So that was a really valuable experience to work through. The next challenge is transitioning existing workforce to be able to do similar things, to take the skill set they have, be able to build on that and move through to autonomous teams. But first we had to prove the concept. So in further preparing our people and working with industry partners, and I mentioned that earlier, and that's very important, there are tiers and layers that you can work in across the spectrum. So what we're looking at here is students still in school and university and making their first entrance into the workforce, undergrads just coming out of university education and entering into the workforce, existing transitioning employees, and those at the tail end of their career as well. So there's a whole spectrum of workers and employees to have to accommodate through this Industry 4 journey. These are some of the, I suppose, key tiers inside that journey as well. So earlier today, we understood through the Swinburne and Siemens experience the new apprenticeship model incorporating digital, so moving away or developing further your traditional apprenticeship models to include digitisation. And Asahi has partnered with Siemens and with Swinburne to support some of the workplace experiences of some of those digital apprentices, and I'll show you some photos shortly. About then stepping that down and taking, well, what some of those elements of that digital apprenticeship model that we could apply to, trades already in the workforce. So working with Swinburne and working with TAFE New South Wales to try and drop those into micro-credentials, short bursts of Industry 4 skill sets that can be applied fairly quickly. And this is something that we're working through, and it's not simple, but how do we get there and making those small steps with industry and with education to feed this in. It's not about getting a qualification and then applying it. It's about acquiring knowledge and skills with hopefully a certification is the aim, and then being able to do that in real time fairly quickly. That's the career transitioning piece. And again, the partnering is very important. It's not something our organisation can do in isolation. We are not training experts, but leveraging off the expertise of the institutions and bringing private and public and bringing education and government together. And also working with other groups such as the Australian Industry Group, with the Advanced Manufacturing Group, and also dropping that down to another level. So we often talk about undergraduates not being job ready. So what role are we going to play in making our undergraduates ready to enter the new Industry 4 or digital environment? There are programs that are becoming available around graduate internships. And through my association with the National Women in Operations and Path 4, we've also done pilot internships in this area as well. Part of the model for the internships is to bring in grads who are still doing their study, up to 15 hours a week of paid internship to work on Industry 4 type projects. So where we don't have the time and resources to do a lot of the data analysis type work, bringing in these students early in their career in an area that perhaps doesn't appear immediately attractive, being manufacturing, and again we spoke about that earlier today, and immersing them inside these new technological environments and giving them early exposure, and that's proven to be very successful as well, and learning along the way, so lots of trial and error, learning to understand what the new generation are looking for in their workplace experience as well, and bridging those gaps. So there's some ideas there around what types of approaches. And again, this morning we talked about we need to do this together. This is not something an organisation is going to do on its own, particularly in Australia. We need the leverage, we need the partnerships to do it together. And I think this room is full of people who have the passion to be able to bring some of these entities together even further. So it's not just about science, technology, engineering, mathematics, but we also add the arts component to it as well, because it's the creative thinking, the problem solving and the ideas generation and innovation that will take Industry 4 to the next level. So almost done. So examples of those activities at play. So Swinburne University, Siemens and the AI Group, as you all know today, have partnered to develop the Industry 4 apprenticeship program. Students complete a 2-year course to earn their associate degree in applied technologies, and what we've seen, being 2 years gets them into industry quicker as well. So they're not doing a 3 or a 4-year degree, it gets their practical skills into industry quick. What Asahi has done here is played a role in hosting the apprentices in the workplace, because we were able to provide appropriate workplace experiences. So when they go out in the field, to work alongside these connected technicians and part of those programs. So last year, our Huntingwood site hosted 2 of the students, and they also went to Germany this year as part of the Industry 4 task group, and Albury facility this year also hosted another 2 students, and it's giving them that valuable industry interaction really early in their education. So you can see some photos there, and there are people in the audience, including Shanti, who are part of that program and in our photos today. As far as internships, here is just an example of working with Path 4 and NAWO in bringing young interns into our organisations, working on Industry 4 projects, early in engrossing them in manufacturing, exposing them to projects early in their careers, and with some emphasis and deliberate emphasis on also bringing females into this forum as well, because we need to ensure that we have diversity going forward in Industry 4. Again, I think we heard earlier today there is a slight risk that if we don't be quite purposeful around diversity in all its facets, we could also miss that boat. So Industry 4 gives us an opportunity to explore diversity in all its facets. And finally, it's all about that multi-skilling and cross-skilling the existing employee base. It's all about building autonomy, skill clusters, end-to-end process management skills, and working with TAFE, early on and in different programs for readiness for Industry 4 programs as they emerge. Thank you. Sorry,
No, thank you very much.